Hi, welcome to our first paycheck closeout of the month. This is where we have built our whole monthly budget picture, and then we broke it down into a weekly spending plan so we have an idea of the income coming in for each paycheck and these expenses going out for each paycheck, so we know that we don't have any due date problems. We know we have enough money to cover all of the expenses coming out of each paycheck.
Hi, I'm Megan with Bethel Budgets. I'm here because it's more than just math. At some point, you've probably built a budget. You've laid out your income, you've laid out your expenses, and thought it's simple math. I'll just stick to what's on the paper. But then life happened and your budget didn't work out. The reason? Because it's more than just math. That's where I come in. Let's figure this out together. Don't give up. You've got this.
So at this point, our second paycheck is here. So we're going to close out our first paycheck and see how we did with what we planned versus what our actual expenses and our actual income were. Before we jump into that, I want to thank you for being here on my channel. Thank you for viewing my videos. If you are new here, please subscribe and then let me know in the comments that you are a new subscriber so I can personally welcome you to my channel. Please also share these videos so we can grow this channel, so we can help the budget babes and even more people to learn to budget and manage their finances so they don't have to deal with the financial stress and the more than just math moments that make up that lifestyle of just not knowing what your financial picture is. Let's jump in. So what you can see here on the screen is my EveryDollar. This over here, this is my app that I take my monthly budget and I plug it into this app, and then it's connected to my bank account and my credit card. So as I'm using my card and transactions are going through, it goes directly into this app. And then I can take those transactions and categorize them into which income they were or what expense category or line item they need to go into. So I'm tracking my expenses all week long and all month long so that I can better keep an eye on how I'm doing. Over here we have my Google spreadsheet that has my monthly budget, and this is my weekly spending plan and my paycheck closeout all in one. So on this side, we have all of my monthly budget categories and line items and due dates. It's very important to carry your due dates into each document so that you can keep an eye on what's happening and making sure you're not having a due date problem. So I keep my due dates attached to every line item. And then here is my planned spending amount for each line item and category for my monthly budget. So this whole 3 columns here is my monthly budget. Then these light purple columns here are the weekly spending plan. So we've taken our monthly budget picture and we've broken it down into weekly spending plans. So we've taken each paycheck and broken it down by what we plan to spend out of each paycheck. So that's what these light purple columns are here. Then these medium purple columns, this is where we're going to plug in the actual spending for this paycheck. And the dark purple columns are going to show us the difference. Are we right on budget, over budget, or under budget? So as we plug things in, we'll be able to see. Now this is our paycheck 1, this is paycheck 2 over here, and then there's spots for paycheck 3 and paycheck 4. My first 2 paychecks are really close together, but I like to do them separate because I enjoy the process. I enjoy the process of tracking my transactions and closing it out and keeping an eye on how we're doing. My first paycheck is on the 1st of the month and my second paycheck is on the 4th of the month, so they come real close together. If you don't enjoy this process, you could very well squish those together and just put both of those, combine both of those amounts and put that here as your planned and actual spending. You don't have to separate those. I do just because I enjoy the process, but you do not have to do that. So let's get started. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to see what I planned to earn, $2,058. We're going to come over to EveryDollar and see what my actual income was. So it's $2,058.72. So I plug that in, and then this begins that remaining total that's going to tally as we go down. The next line item is tithe, which I'll plug in. It wasn't our full tithe. I don't remember, have we had a church day since July started? No, we haven't been to church, but this $50 was extra giving. So this will turn our whole tithe line item red by the end of the month because this is extra giving that somebody was in need and we just gave an extra over and above what we will tithe. So that'll change that, but that's why that number isn't the full 206. We haven't been to church yet to do our tithe, and then that's why it's 50. That was extra and above. So that'll eventually turn this column, this category red. If you're watching and paying attention to numbers, that's what's about to happen there. Moving down, lump sum sinking funds. I didn't plan anything. That'll go in the third paycheck of the month. And 0 there. Housing, scroll down to housing. Let me plug these numbers in and I'll be right back with you. Okay, housing we did okay with. Natural gas, this is a due date issue. It's usually around the 2nd of the month. I'm assuming they'll take that out and it'll be over here in this second paycheck of the month, which is fine. And then electricity, so these are budget billing amounts. We had been being charged $149 a month, and now our new bill is $138. So I just wasn't aware of what the new bill was gonna be when I built my budget. So I think this is the new budget billing amount. I need to double check that before I build my August budget. I can't believe I'm saying that already, my August budget, oh my gosh. But before I build that August budget, I will confirm that that is the new amount. So we're saving $11 a month. Highly recommend budget billing. It's based off of your usage for the previous year so that you can have the same amount taken out every single month. So it takes that and spreads it out across the whole year. And that way you know what's coming out. So you're not getting charged $250 one month and $50 another. It's easier on your budget and it's easier on your math and figuring things out. You can plan ahead better that way. Let's scroll down to food. This is always a tough category for me. Let's see how we've done. I'll plug these numbers in and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so far so good on groceries, although I realize this says $337 and I only budgeted $40. Again, this is one of those categories where I planned $708 to come out in 4 days. So I'm not super concerned if I were to squish these two paychecks together, we would be okay. But I'm proud of us for these numbers being 0. Grocery and food category is such a tough one for me. If you've been around my channel, you know it has been a huge struggle. So I'm not mad about this. I'm okay. I'm all right. So let's go to transportation. I budgeted $30 and we spent $38.57. So we're over by $8.57. That was just a matter of I needed to put $30 somewhere and I put $30 in gas and we went over by $8. That's close and I'm not gonna beat myself up about that. Let's go to personal. I'll plug these numbers in and I will be right back with you. Okay, so this is again a due date thing. We've got $150 planned for the month. I didn't plan to spend any until 4 days from now, but I spent $60. And then same thing for kids events and birthdays. I spent $63 when I didn't plan to spend that for another couple of days. Overall, we are still on pace for the month. We just spent the money a little earlier than we planned. This is okay because I have a buffer. If I was truly paycheck to paycheck budgeting and and paycheck to paycheck living, then I could be in trouble with this. But I have taken the time to build up a buffer and I have sinking funds and I'm a month ahead on a lot of things. So I am okay. If I was truly a paycheck to paycheck survivor, this would be very concerning. That is why we do this process. I don't mean to make this sound like this is no big deal, because for me, I have that sitting in my checking account and it will be okay. And I also know that once I get to the bottom, things will even out, I hope. We'll see. And I also know that I have 4 days between paycheck 1 and paycheck 2. So if you're in a situation where you are truly living from paycheck to paycheck, you have to be more careful with your due dates. You would need to squish these two together and plan better. Okay, let's go to lifestyle. I'll plug these numbers in and be right back with you. Okay, again, this is another category. We're in the red. We ran out of dog food. I was hoping we could wait on getting the dog food, but that did not happen. So my 7-year-old is in charge of feeding the dogs, and then he'll just come to us and be like, we're out of dog food. I can't feed the dogs breakfast. And okay, I guess we're going to the store right now because the dogs get real pushy when they're hungry, as they should be. We need to feed them, but it would be nice to know ahead of time. We've got to come up with a better system for that in our house. Entertainment, this is I treat this like an envelope because this is a multi-due date situation. I put $71 in there, and some will come out here, and some will come out in this paycheck, and some will come out of the next one, and it just carries us over. This unplanned was $100. I'm not sure what that was. Let's click on it and find out. Oh, I'm sending my kids to a Vacation Bible School day camp. So that was $100. And I didn't plan to send them. That was something I decided to send them to after the fact. So yeah, that one was on me. Didn't have a sinking fund for that. Didn't plan on that at all, but made the decision to send them. Let's go down to health. Nothing's come out of health yet, so we're good there. Debt, scrolling down, the mortgage was paid as expected, and the phone doesn't come out until the second paycheck of the month. That comes out on the 9th, so we're good in that category. Nothing comes out for insurance. That's all sinking funds. Let's see the what else category. We've got some transfers to do for that one, so my husband spent $0. So my kids I just need to transfer this money over. What they did was they wanted to go to friends' houses and shoot off fireworks responsibly with their adults. Believe me, I called their moms and made like a big deal of it. Like, what are your rules about shooting fireworks and things like that? So they used some of their savings to buy fireworks on their own. And we talked about how it's literally like lighting your money on fire and watching it go up in smoke. And they still wanted to do it. So they set themselves a budget, and they took that money and they went to the fireworks place with Dad, and they got some fireworks. And afterwards they did feel it. They said they came home and it was like lighting their money on fire and watching it go up in smoke, but they agreed that it was a lot of fun. And they want to set a sinking fund for that for next year. They don't want to spend too much more than $50, but they want to have a sinking fund for that next year. This was their first time getting to do that. So they were very excited, and it was worth it. But that came out, so my husband took them, and rather than like going to the bank, because the bank was closed, it was 4th of July, rather than going to the ATM even and getting out cash for each kid and monitoring all of that, he swiped it. We marked it in here, and then we'll just transfer the money out of their account back into ours. So that will be a wash. I just need to take care of that. So I marked it, it's as a transaction in here, and that will stay red to remind me to fix that. And then once I do, that'll go away. If I were to take that out, we still overspent by $296.53 this paycheck, which isn't bad for us because we have a buffer, and that will cover us for the 3 or 4 days from paycheck to paycheck. Like I said, I could squish these two paychecks together and I wouldn't have to worry about that. That number wouldn't be red because we'd have twice the income in this column and it would be fine. I enjoy the process of checking in more often, so I do it that way. If you are truly a paycheck to paycheck survivor and you were having situations like this, where you were having due date issues like that electricity bill, where did that go? Or the natural gas bill. I expected it to come out on the 2nd and it didn't. It comes out somewhere around the 2nd. It always surprises me, that due date. Or your groceries. Like, I knew that I had $40 to spend on groceries out of that first paycheck, but I spent $300. Knowing that I was going to get paid again on the 3rd, and like that money just crosses over and it's there. I knew that I had a buffer and I was okay. But you would actually have to look at that and be like, okay, I've got $40 to spend in groceries. Or you just have to plan differently. You'd have to rearrange some of the way that you do your budgeting. So your grocery line item, the last paycheck of the month before, would have to have more grocery money in there, so that you'd have groceries to get you through that first couple of days of the month. Typically, I can do that. I'm using groceries from the end of June to get me through the first couple of days of July to get me to this paycheck here. But it was also a holiday. So that was a lack of planning on my part, but I knew I had a buffer, which I was relying on. If you are a paycheck to paycheck survivor, this is where that weekly spending plan and truly checking, you have to log into your EveryDollar and check, okay, I have planned this amount of money and I have spent this amount of money. So you can see it in real time, and you have to stick to your budget. because if you didn't have a buffer and you overspent by $296, you would be in big trouble. So this is where knowing what's going in and what's coming out and when is a big deal. This is when developing a buffer or getting a month ahead or split paying some of your bills is a big deal, and it really will help you out. So if you aren't doing a weekly closeout or a weekly spending plan, I highly, highly recommend it. It really gives you a better picture of what's going on with your finances and how to problem solve. So get yourself going with a weekly spending plan and closing out on a regular basis. So you're tracking those transactions every day and then checking it out, closing it out weekly or per paycheck. Keep going. You've got this.